ושיבה של מעלה ושיבה של מטה על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבריינים.
With one voice, assembled sages past and present declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly.
Kol Nidre ve'esarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei v'kinusei u'shevu
resolves and commitments, vows of abstinence in terms of obligation, sworn promises and oaths of dedication that we promise and swear to God and take upon ourselves from this day of atonement until the next day of atonement, may it find us well. We regret them, and for all of them we repent. Let all of them be discarded and forgiven, abolished and undone. They are not valid and they are not binding. Our vows shall not be vows, our resolves shall not be resolves, and our oaths shall not be oaths.
Yasher Koach, holding those Torahs all that time.
All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked.
Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha. Vayomer Adonai, salachti kidvarecha.
We continue with our call to worship the Baruch Hu. You may be seated.
Day and night are yours, creative spirit of the universe, the muted colors of twilight, the radiance of dawn. Yours are the spreading wings of light, the deepening shadows of darkness, an ever-changing drama. In the human heart, too, the struggle between darkness and light unfolds. From sunlit heights of generosity, the human heart sinks to the gloomy depths of selfishness. Although we fall, you give us the strength to rise again. You call on those who hurt through word or deed to break free from wrongdoing and return to you. All who hear your call to goodness are embraced. All who reject emptiness and evil find acceptance from you. We come into your presence this night of Kol Nidre, aware that our shortcomings and weaknesses are many, yet encouraged by your promise of forgiveness. We choose freely the path of repentance, restoring wholeness to our lives and wholeness to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישורך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Our sages taught it is proper to mention the Exodus from Egypt in our morning prayers and also at night. We celebrate the going out from Egypt in the morning light, full of confidence and vigor as we enter the new day. But in the evening, weary from the day's exertions, cast down and fearful at the coming of the night, what can the Exodus teach us then? Our nighttime prayer brings hope and trust in the future. As God did not abandon our people long ago through the long, dark night of exile, so the Holy One will be with us in the time to come. To stand by the one you love, that is the true essence of faithfulness and the meaning of emunah. So it is written in the Psalms, to proclaim your kindness in the morning and your faithfulness in the nights. Sing with joy in the morning of your life, when light surrounds you and the world seems beautiful and good, and in the evening of your life, when you dwell in the sorrow and the world seems dark. Do not despair.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורות עירות אוסף אלי. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע היום לפני משה ומרים, פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני. גאל ישראל.
We turn now to our Amida and rise in body or in spirit.
לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
On page 66. Our God and God of our forebears, pardon our failings on this day of atonement. Erase our misdeeds, see beyond our defiance. For Isaiah said, in your name, it is I alone, who wipe away your defiant acts. This is my essence. I shall pay no heed to your errors. And the prophet said, as a cloud fades away, as mist dissolves into air, so your wrongs and mistakes shall be gone. I will wipe them away. Come back to me, that I may redeem you. As you said to Moses, for this day, atonement shall be made for you to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai. Page 71.
On this night of atonement, grant us, God, a sense of your presence as we call upon your name. Speak your hopeful message to each yearning heart, and answer the worthy petitions of each searching soul. Purify and strengthen our noble strivings, and cleanse us of all our unworthy desires. Join us together in fellowship and in love, and grant us the joy which comes from enriching other lives.
Help us to be loyal to the heritage we share. Draw us near to Torah in wisdom and in faith. Strengthen our devotion to our people everywhere. Keep alive our faith in righteousness and truth. Bless us with hopes to uplift our daily lives, and keep steadfast our courage and our resolve at all times. On this night of atonement, help us, God, to be worthy of your presence as we call upon your name.
Israel,
Eternal source and soul of peace, send your peace into the midst of Am Yisrael, your people. Let it heal our rifes and soothe the bitterness of intolerance. Let it overcome distrust, isolation, and rivalry. May your peace flow in every stream of Judaism, and may it inspire solidarity, uniting us as one people. Let peace grow and increase, and let it shape the lives of all human beings. Let there be nothing but peace, no hatred or jealousy, no victories that bring suffering and loss to peoples and nations, only love and peace, strong, profound, and true. We yearn for love that knits us together. We yearn for the wisdom of community, shared knowledge, empathy, and trust. May the words that we speak and the meditations of our hearts open pathways of truth and understanding.
We read together on page 80 in the English. My God, keep my tongue from doing harm and my lips from lies and deceit. Before those who wrong me with words, may silence be my practice. Before all human beings, let humility be my stance. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may follow its sacred path of duty. Shatter at once the malicious plans of those who would do me harm. Act for the sake of your name. Act for the sake of your shielding hand. Act for the sake of your holiness. Act for the sake of your Torah. For the sake of those who love you, their rescue and safety, let your shielding hand be the answer to my prayer. We turn our thoughts now to our loved ones who need a prayer of healing, of mind or body or soul, this Yom Kippur. And whatever it is your practice, whether you would like to share the name aloud or just bring their name into your heart, you can share it with the people around you, or just think about that person now. We're going to open the ark and say our prayer of healing.
Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov.
Please be seated. We continue with a few moments of private prayer. Our God, God of all generations, may our prayers stop that reverb. May our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are stubborn and arrogant, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Of these wrongs, we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey. We abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes. We are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray.
You should repeat. Ashamnu.
Ashamnu.
Bagadanu.
Baganu.
Gazalnu.
Gazanu.
Dibarnu dofi.
Dibarnu dofi.
Ay, 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 Tafalnu sheker. Ay, 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 Ya'atznu ra. Kizavnu. Latznu. Maradnu. Ni'atznu. Sararnu. Avinu. Pashanu. Sararnu. Kishinu oref. Ay, 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 Rashanu. Tihavnu, Tainu, Titanu.
On page 86, we begin, I'll read the Hebrew and we read together the English. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, bizadon uvishgaga, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'dibor pei. The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, bi'umot halev, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'tifshut pei. The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts,
And harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, b'chachash u'b'chazav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha, birchilut. The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, bifilut. Ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha, bizilzul horim umorim. The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bevidui pei, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha behona'at re'ah. The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bechozek yad, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'masa u'v'matan. The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, slach lanu, mechal lanu, slach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bagalui u'v'sater, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'frikat ol. The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui arayot, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ma'achal u'v'mishteh. The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'neshech u'v'marbit. The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'latzon, ve'al chet lefanecha, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'ntiyat garon. The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through
arrogant behavior.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tumat sfatayim. The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bilshon hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha tzarut ayin. The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit. Ve'al kulam Eloah slichot, salach lanu, mechal lanu, kaper lanu. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. On page 98. Hear our call, Adonai our God. Show us compassion. Accept our prayer with love and goodwill. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew our days as in the past. Hear our words, Adonai. Understand our unspoken thoughts. May the speech of our mouth and our heart's quiet prayer be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and our Redeemer. Do not cast us away from your presence or cut us off from your Holy Spirit. Do not cast us away when we are old, as our strength diminishes. Do not forsake us. Do not forsake us, Adonai. Be not far from us, our God. With hope, Adonai, we await you. Surely you, Adonai, our God, you will answer.
Shema Koleinu, Shema, Shema Koleinu, Shema, Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, Chus v'rachem, Chus v'rachem, Chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel berachamim, berachamim uv'ratzon, et tefilatiנו. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Hashivenu Adonai Elecha. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Hashivenu v'nashuva. Hashivenu v'nashuva, Chadesh Yameinu k'kedem. Tashlichenu milfanecha, v'ruach kodeshecha al tikach mimenu. Al tashlichenu, v'ruach kodeshecha al tikach mimenu. Tashlichenu le'et zikna. Tashlichenu le'et zikna, tashlichenu le'et zikna, kichot kochenu al ta'azvenu. Shema koleinu, Shema, Shema koleinu, Shema, Shema koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, Chus v'rachem, Chus
We continue with Ki Anu Amecha. We are your people, and you are our God, on page 106.
Anu Amecha ve'ata Eloheinu. Anu Vanecha ve'ata Avinu. Anu Avadecha ve'ata Adoneinu. Anu Kehalecha ve'ata Chelkeinu. Anu Nachalatecha ve'ata Goraleinu. Anu Tzonecha ve'ata Ro'einu. Anu Charmecha ve'ata Notreinu. Anu Fe'ulatecha ve'ata Yotzreinu. Anu Ra'techa ve'ata Dodeinu. Anu Segulatecha ve'ata Kroveinu. Anu Amecha ve'ata Malkeinu. Anu Ma'amirecha ve'ata Ma'amireinu.
All week I've been walking around my house like Ki Anu. So catchy. We rise now for Avinu Malkeinu. We read responsively. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu Almighty and merciful.
Hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Olalenu Vetapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever Vecherev Vera'av Me'alenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'alenu.
Halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu Male Yadenu Mibirchotecha. Oh no, wait, sorry. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tovah.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us the year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu Male Yadenu Mibirchotecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings.
Avinu Malkeinu Harem Keren Mashichecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption.
Avinu Malkeinu Na'al Tashivenu Rekam Milfanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing.
Avinu Malkeinu Kabel Berachamim Uveratzon Et Tefilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it.
Avinu Malkeinu Aseh Imanu Lema'an Shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name.
Avinu Malkeinu Aseh Lemancha Im Lo Lema'anenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake, if not for ours.
Avinu Malkeinu Ein Lanu Melech Ele Ata.
Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu Patach She'arei Shamayim L'Tefilatenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer.
Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu Chus Verachem Alenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, treat us with tender compassion.
Avinu Malkeinu Honenu Va'anenu Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim Aseh Imanu Tzedaka V'Chesed V'Hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Hamol aleinu, ve'alol aleinu, v'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kol Nidre, Avinu Malkeinu, Alei Kotzah, Umastin, Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu
Please be seated. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of subbing for our 6th grade class on Sunday morning. Small temple, you know? All hands on deck. Eitan had given me a lesson plan, but as rabbis often go rogue, I wanted to just discuss a few questions with them. First, very important, what did they do this summer? Second, do they believe in God? And third, were they interested in learning about the Holocaust this year? We had talked about moving it out of the 6th grade curriculum, and I wanted the 6th graders' opinion. As for their summers, wow, you all plan very amazing summers for your kids. I would like to swap places with them. Do they believe in God? They have remarkably sophisticated understandings of God in ways far beyond what you might expect of 12-year-olds. I encourage you to follow up on this, parents. Although they might not talk to you, let's be real. And finally, are they interested in the Holocaust? At that question, every single student jumped to share their family stories, to ask questions, to learn more. It was a familiar reaction because I too was once one of those kids. I read every Holocaust book I could get my hands on. I watched every Holocaust movie, perhaps seeing Schindler's List and The Pianist a bit young. I met Holocaust survivors, a group of individuals that is rapidly dwindling. Just by show of hands, how many have Holocaust survivors in their family? Wow. As a teen, I visited the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. with my synagogue, something our community will do with our teens this winter. During our tour, I remember when our guide pointed out famous author and survivor Elie Wiesel on the bunks at Buchenwald. Staring at his emaciated face then and now, I think of his teachings on indifference. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death, it's indifference. Wiesel focused not so much on the Nazis or Hitler, but on those who didn't even lift a pinky to resist one of recent history's most egregious moral catastrophes. Wiesel was a voice of the victims crying out, "Why aren't you helping us?" Moved by the promise of never again and perhaps guilted by my own indifference, I got deeply involved in the Save Darfur campaign as a teenager. One Tuesday night at teen programs at my shul, I naively asked my rabbi, "Who's Darfur?" He was wearing a green Save Darfur bracelet, and when I received the answer, I felt quite foolish. How could I not know about a government-sponsored genocide in Africa? I quickly hatched a plan and created a fundraiser with some friends, helped educate my community, even brought a Darfurian refugee to my high school who spoke to us and helped direct our giving. He said their greatest needs then were flip-flops and clothing. That's me, yeah. With Old Navy's help, we donated hundreds. Hello? There's a picture, actually, that I couldn't find of the refugee camp in Chad where our flip-flops had gone, and there were all these kids with these colorful Old Navy flip-flops. It was quite remarkable, and I wish I had that photo for you. One day in high school, as I was walking through the cafeteria trying to drum up support for this cause, a kid I knew responded, "Why would I help? We have enough problems in America." I'll never forget that. Shortly after, I traveled to Israel to study on Kibbutz Suba, nestled in the hills outside Jerusalem, on our Reform Movement's semester-long program for high schoolers, now called Heller High. I visited Yad Vashem that year, Jerusalem's Holocaust Museum. I remember so clearly weaving through the impactful museum with my classmates. We eventually stopped at a photo. I remember the docent's indignation with such clarity. Here is an aerial photograph the United States had of Auschwitz-Birkenau in 1944, over a year before the war ended, she said. The rail lines, the barracks, the gas chambers, the crematoria, seemingly everything to make the moral argument to strike. Why, she asked, did the U.S. do nothing? One of the most significant ethical questions we face in life is the tension between why aren't we helping to address a moral catastrophe we know is happening, with the impulse to respond, why would I help? My small slice of the world has enough problems. Thanks to globalization, the internet, and the reach of social media, we have access to a staggering amount of information at an instant. So what do we do about the tragedies of the Uyghur Muslim people, oppressed by the Chinese government and forced to endure cultural reacclimation to erase their identity? But our streets in Santa Monica are filled with unhoused neighbors amidst an unsustainable housing crisis. What do we do when Russia attacks Ukraine unprompted and rains war on innocent civilians? But there are still cities across our country without clean drinking water. What do we do when the Taliban retake Afghanistan and families are forced to flee? But what about the unabated racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and on within our communities that we still haven't begun to remedy? This, as you know, is a false dichotomy. We can and must care about both. Ken Burns' new documentary, The U.S. and the Holocaust, deals directly with the tension of why isn't the U.S. helping to address the moral catastrophe they know is happening, and why would the U.S. help? Our country has enough problems and we don't want yours. The documentary spotlights the U.S. reaction to the Holocaust in an incisive and insightful three-part series that I truly hope you will all take the time to watch. One of my first reactions to the series brought me back to Yad Vashem all those years ago and the docent's question: why did the U.S. do nothing? In the first 100 days of Hitler's rule, American papers published 3,000 incidents detailing the alarming nature of Nazi power. American indifference in 1933 was not due to a lack of information. That year, Rabbi Stephen S. Wise pleaded with Americans, "The time for prudence and caution has passed. What is happening in Germany today may happen tomorrow in any other land on earth unless it is challenged and rebuked. We must speak out." But in Hollywood, the opposite happened. Between 33 and 39, not a single word was uttered on screen against the Nazis. The German Vice Consul in Los Angeles had the power to approve or disapprove scripts before production, wielding the lucrative German market. But then Kristallnacht happened on November 9th, 1938, the night of broken glass. A pogrom destroying Jewish businesses, attacking Jews on the streets, a wave of arrests of 30,000 Jewish men simply because they were Jewish. And after the violence calmed, the Nazis assessed a 1 billion Reichsmark atonement tax on the Jewish community for inciting the pogrom against themselves. American papers covered Kristallnacht closely, making the front page and shocking Americans. How could a civilized country like Germany do this? As FDR remarked, "I myself can scarcely believe that such things could occur in a 20th century civilization." 2 weeks after Kristallnacht, a poll of Americans asked if they disapproved of the Nazi pogrom. 94% did. They were then asked if America should let in Jewish victims of Nazi aggression. More than 70% said no. After Kristallnacht, Nazi efforts intensified to find a solution to their so-called Jewish problem and began imprisoning and killing Jews. In early 1942, the Wannsee Conference made official the Nazis' final solution to annihilate European Jewry. That same year, a representative of the World Jewish Congress, Gerhard Riegner, sent a telegram to Great Britain and the United States, sharing his discovery of the Nazis' plans to exterminate Jews, explaining that between 3.5 and 4 million Jews in Nazi-occupied territory should, after deportation and concentration in the East, be at one blow exterminated in order to resolve once and for all the Jewish question in Europe. Riegner, unaware that mass murder was already taking place, sent word that the campaign was planned for the fall and that the Nazis were considering the use of prussic acid, likely a reference to Zyklon B, to gas the Jews. In mid-March 1942, 75 to 80% of all victims of the Holocaust were still alive, while 20 to 25% had been murdered. A mere 11 months later, in mid-February 1943, the percentages were exactly the reverse. As Deborah Lipstadt, the historian and U.S. Special Envoy for Monitoring and Combating Anti-Semitism, says, the time to stop genocide is before it happens. When Hitler is speaking out and saying these horrendous things and Germany is disenfranchising Jews and conducting things like Kristallnacht, that's the time to take action. When people tell you the evils they want to carry out, believe them and work to stop them. Both Judaism and Islam famously teach that to save one life is to save the entire world. Repeatedly, though, humanity fails to take action to save even one life. A few years after the war ended in 1949, sociologist, author, and civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois traveled to Poland and Germany for the third time in his life. After his trip, he wrote, "The result of these 3 visits, and particularly of the Warsaw Ghetto, was not so much a clearer understanding of the Jewish problem in the world, as it was a real and more complete understanding of the Negro problem. In the first place, the problem of slavery, emancipation, and caste in the United States was no longer, in my mind, a separate and unique thing as I had so long conceived it. It was not even solely a matter of color and physical and racial characteristics, which was particularly a hard thing for me to learn, since for a lifetime the color line had been a real and efficient cause of misery. It was not merely a matter of religion. No, the race problem in which I was interested cut across lines of color and physique and belief and status and was a matter of cultural patterns, perverted teaching, and human hate and prejudice, which reached all sorts of people and caused endless evil to all men. So that the ghetto of Warsaw helped me to emerge from a certain social provincialism into a broader conception of what the fight against race segregation, religious discrimination, and the oppression by wealth had become if civilization was going to triumph and broaden in the world. I think Du Bois's revelation in the Warsaw Ghetto about hatreds cutting across lines of color and physique and belief and status is neatly summarized in a poem of the same name by Polish poet Wisława Szymborska. See how efficient it still is, how it keeps itself in shape, our century's hatred, how easily it vaults the tallest obstacles, how rapidly it pounces, tracks us down. It's not like other feelings, at once both older and younger. It gives birth itself to the reasons that give it life. When it sleeps, it's never eternal rest, and sleeplessness won't sap its strength. It feeds it. One religion or another, whatever gets it ready, in position. One fatherland or another, whatever helps it get a running start. Justice also works well at the outset until hate gets its own momentum going. Hatred. Hatred. Its face twisted in a grimace of erotic ecstasy. Oh, these other feelings, listless weaklings. Since when does brotherhood draw crowds? Has compassion ever finished first? Does doubt ever really rouse the rabble? Only hatred has just what it takes. Gifted, diligent, hard-working. Need we mention all the songs it has composed, all the pages it has added to our history books, all the human carpets it has spread over countless city squares and football fields? Let's face it, it knows how to make beauty. The splendid fire glow in midnight skies, magnificent bursting bombs and rosy dawns. You can't deny the inspiring pathos of ruins and a certain bawdy humor to be found in the sturdy column jutting from their midst. Hatred is a master of contrast between explosions and dead quiet, red blood and white snow. Above all, it never tires of its leitmotif, the impeccable executioners towering over its soiled victim. It's always ready for new challenges. If it has to wait a while, it will. They say it's blind. Blind? It has a sniper's keen sight and gazes unflinchingly at the future as only it can. Dr. Du Bois concluded his essay by suggesting the response to such bitter hatred is joining together to reassess the problems of our day whose solution belong to no one group. In other words, the answer to stemming the tide of apathy and indifference, to rising hatred and human suffering, both domestically and internationally, is exposure and engagement with others. The answer to bigotry directed to individual groups isn't to turn inward and burrow ourselves in a silo, but rather to reach our hands outward and stand with others through their moments of trauma. The answer to hatred, be it anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-black racism, AAPI hatred, homophobia, transphobia, or any other irrational hatred, is to build bridges with allies of different worlds, to break bread together, to sing together, to claim our rightful seat at a long table of people who have rightfully claimed theirs. This year, our calendar at Beth Shir Shalom focuses on just this, on building meaningful, lasting bridges with as many people of different lived experiences as possible. And in fact, we've already started. This past year, our community created a highest welcome circle for a beautiful family fleeing Taliban rule in Afghanistan. Ijaz, Marjan, and their baby Mahia made it out on the last plane from Kabul and were welcomed into a foreign land by the beautiful people of Beth Shear Shalom, particularly Jeff and Lainey Lepis, Ellen Satkin, Terry Silberman, Ari Hayar, and Lisa DiMattia, amongst so many other of you who helped and donated to make their landing so smooth. The bond built with this family was so strong that they consider them family and even call Lainey Grandma. As we look to our calendar for this coming year, and I do hope everyone got our beautiful new program book put together by our past president, Natalie Rothenberg, we invested a lot of time in building bridges, both internally with things like our progressive dinner for our community to get to know each other, but also externally, like our new 4-part series with First Presbyterian Church. Reverend Tim Vance and I will each teach 2 sessions, where Beth Shear Shalom visits their church for the sessions I teach, and First Pres will come to our synagogue for Reverend Vance's sessions. I'll be teaching the first one on October 9th at the church, so please come. This winter, our teens will travel to New York City and Washington, D.C. to explore new cities, meet new people, and be exposed to new ideas. In the spring, we're leading a trip to Mississippi and Louisiana to explore civil rights, learn about Southern Jewry, and spend Shabbat with the small-town Jews of my student pulpit in New Iberia, Louisiana. And in 2024, we're planning a trip to Israel to build bridges with our homeland and its people and explore its many challenges as well. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught that, morally speaking, there is no limit to the concern one must feel for the suffering of human beings, that indifference to evil is worse than evil itself, that in a free society some are guilty, but all are responsible. Being a member of this community, being a member of Beth Shear Shalom means that we know we are responsible. It means we can never settle for indifference. And it means we must advocate loudly for our Torah's vision of a just society for all. Being part of our community means we build bridges, as Rabbi Neil has done for his entire rabbinate, a torch I proudly carry on. Being a member of our community means we can and must care both about our neighbors locally and those suffering across the world. We're told every year at Passover that each generation must see itself as if they themselves came out of Egypt. The Seder is our annual empathy exercise, encouraging us to use our story of fleeing persecution to defend the vulnerable in our day and stand with the oppressed in their darkest moments. This, too, is the lesson of the Holocaust, not to retreat inward, isolating ourselves and our community from the world. Instead, the lesson of the Holocaust and the failure of the Allies to intervene on time is what Rabbi Heschel said. There is no limit to the concern we must feel for the suffering of others, because we know what it was like to be the victim. Our response to anti-Semitism in our day must be to continue to care deeply, to reach our hands outward, and to work in messy coalitions, striving for the Torah's vision of a world of justice and equality. Tizku l'shanim rabot. May we be worthy of our years, and may they be many. Now I'd like to invite up Natalie Rothenberg, our past president and board member, for a few announcements.
It's only 2 pages for a short kid. Some appreciation and some news. For the Board of Trustees, I want to thank Rabbi Alex, Rabbi Neil, Cantor Jessica, and accompanist Dr. Louise Thomas for leading our services this season. Appreciation to our cellist, Kimia Efremian, wasn't she beautiful? And the choir, Ben Greenberg, Julie Hinton, Susan Kazanow, and Daniel Ramon. We have a mountain of gratitude to share with all the people who put so much time into preparing these services. High Holy Day Committee members Jody Reichel, Marlene Cole, and Barbara Siegel, tech experts Peter Quinton, Jared Quinton, Paul Diamond, and Eitan Strauss-Cohn, and our exceptional and tireless staff, Cynthia Barzilai, Brendan Schulweis, Lori Deitch, Robin Maznikoff, Alana Mabashov, Helena Simon, John Garrett, Will Davis, and Esteban Ramirez. Amazing feats of strength from amazing people. Like them, from generation to generation, the people of 1827 California Avenue, Beth Shalom, and then Beth Shir Shalom, have also been amazing, generous, and forward-thinking. Every day we enjoy gifts from congregations of the past. People who could only imagine who we are raised walls and consecrated a sanctuary for us. Members who never met today's students and teachers converted our social hall's rarely used stage to a flexible meeting space. Other families created the playground and backyard we call the Gan Shalom, or Garden of Peace, just to name a few gifts from congregations before us. We enjoy the fruits they planted, and it is on us to plant for the future. Last year at this time, we started the dreaming phase of the 1827 at 80 initiative. That's how many years old our building is. And so many of you were so generous and forward-thinking with your investment and your imagination for our building. Our conversations touched on learning spaces, spiritual spaces, gathering spaces, curb appeal, and even on basic needs like the bathrooms and the kitchen. Big dreams to be focused, detailed, sequenced, and made real over time. Now, alongside this internal process, our executive director, Cynthia Barzilai, was painstakingly pursuing and winning a large security grant from the state of California. This grant provides $100,000 for a protective parking gate and attractive fencing around the corner of California Avenue and 19th Street. The area, to be enclosed over 1,000 square feet, is now a dry garden. Considering the grant's timing, the Board of Trustees has elected to direct last year's 1827 at 80 funds to clearing and developing this space into Pinat HaTikva, or Hope Corner. The Pinah will be a multi-purpose outdoor area where families can gather before life cycle events and the rabbi can host receptions after services. Picture a classroom under the sky for adult education, religious school, or teen projects. Imagine the sounds of toddlers laughing as they sing together. We are still detailing plans for 2022 and 2023 work that will provide a positive first impression of our building and a new space for every kind of community life. The Pinah is your gift, a gift from today's congregation to tomorrow's. So now, 1827 at 80 becomes 1827 at 81. We continue to develop our visions and priorities for the inviting exterior and embracing interior of the place we share on California Avenue, and it's time to refill our cup. We're asking you for 100% participation. QR codes and envelopes are in the lobby, so every one of us can share in a small or large way to support the feasibility and design work necessary to refresh and reshape 1827 California for the years to come, for the congregation we are today and will be tomorrow. We can't pay back the past congregations who brought us to this moment. We pay it forward. We show gratitude to those who gave us 1827 by giving an even better 1827 to the congregations that will follow us. Lador Vador, generation to generation, and also strength to strength. So please join us tomorrow morning for Yom Kippur morning adult services. Special programming for the K through 6th graders will be held in the performance room just west of the auditorium. Childcare will be in one of the classrooms off the courtyard. Just look for the posted signs. We'll also have a full afternoon schedule. Tomorrow at 12:30 will be a screening and discussion of the film The Tattooed Torah in this auditorium. At 1:30, a discussion on the sermons will be held in the performance room. The family service, primarily for families with young children, will begin at 2 in this afternoon, and there will be a special healing service at 3:30 in this auditorium, immediately followed by afternoon, Yizkor, and Nila services. Street parking tomorrow will be more limited, so if you are within walking distance, please consider walking. If you drive, parking is available in the Will Rogers staff parking lot, which is on the west side of 16th Street between Pearl and Ocean Park. However you get here, please feel our appreciation for your presence and our wishes for a most meaningful season. Shana Tova.
Our concluding prayers begin with Aleinu. If you have a book, that's on page 116. We rise as we open the ark.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn now to our loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days, and those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing in this new year and always. We join together in Kadisha Tome, page 122. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah,
בריחו.
La'ela u'la'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran bi'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, Amen.
Amen.
We conclude this evening with Adon Olam, page 127.
Adon olam asher malach b'terem yitzir nivra le'et nasa b'chefzo kol azay melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kiflot hakol levar
Chatimah Tovah, Tzom Kal, and we will see you in the morning.